So we got about 20 minutes. I don't think we'll take that long, but we got cut off, so this will be part two. Where we leave off, immigration.
So I have no issue with immigration at all as long as it's done correctly. I don't agree with just kind of opening the floodgates and just letting anyone in. It kind of feels like we're doing that currently in Canada. Just from the things I see online, it's kind of shocking to me how easy it is. Some people are able to get into Canada without any kind of checks, and then they disappear.
Yeah.
And it's scary to me to think that there's people like that in America. So it's a little weird to me, but I'm for immigration as long as it's done properly with the right control and the right people coming into our country, contributing to society. Then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I honestly think it's going to be immigrants that save this country. Because a lot of white people, even if they, like, for me, I grew up liberal. Now, I don't think liberals are actually liberals. I think they're kind of, in my personal opinion, they're a bit more extreme. They're kind of forcing their ideology on other people. And I don't care what somebody's ideology is. I would fight and die for everybody's right to believe what they want and live the way they want. But as soon as you try and force that on somebody else or impose your way on another country or whatever, that's where it becomes a problem with me. Like you were saying earlier on the school, how they're kind of putting a lot of politics into school, and taking a lot of choices away from parents. I think that's wrong. We're going to find out through making videos what Canadians think. How do you feel about, do you notice the rising, I don't know if you're religious, but there's a lot of rising tensions between the Abrahamic faiths, like Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. How do you notice that at all?
I'd say I do notice it, but only again because of social media. To me, it feels like social media is kind of pushing a lot of things. It's easily influencing a lot of people to believe things that they only see online. But it is real. It is happening. And I hate to see it because I have no problem with your faith and what you believe, and we should all be able to live together and still believe what we want to believe without hating on each other or putting each other down and criticizing each other's faith. To me, that doesn't. You're not doing any good to anyone by doing that. So I feel like there's room for all of us. Canada's we have a mixed pot of different religion, cultures, and I grew up always noticing that and being proud of that, and that we live together without any hate or pushing any agendas or anything on each other. And I'm Catholic. I grew up Catholic. My parents were very religious, and my household, we prayed, we went to church, we did all the things we would as Catholics, and I didn't ever see a division or feel any different from any other faith that might be doing something differently, but they believe what they believe, I believe what I believe, and together we can still be friends. There's no reason to hate each other for our faith, so that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, no, honestly, I couldn't agree more. Like, I didn't actually grow up religious. I actually had, years back, I had a near-death experience, changed my view on it. My family was anti-religion. But I didn't really kind of even look into it much because it just wasn't a thing on my radar growing up. Like,
I agree,
you'd see some kids with Bibles, you see other kids with Qurans, you see other kids with all kinds of religions, and it wasn't a thing. That was their thing, you had your thing.
Exactly.
And I mean, we'd all be hanging out together, either out back to school or wherever. Like when we were kids, you ride your bike until you see all your friends at whatever green box.
Right, exactly. That's it.
And that was Canada in a nutshell. It's playing some street hockey. Now it seems, like you said, it's a lot of social media. It almost seems deliberate, in my opinion. But I mean, I can't prove that.
I know.
It's difficult because before all this kind of digital social media age, people were outside. They weren't really paying attention to all that news, right? And now it's like that's all they're seeing all day. They're on their devices, and it's gonna incite a lot of problems. And that's why that's again one of the goals here is hopefully we'll see that we all have a similar view, right? The average, and hopefully that's what Canadians can find as an identity and stand behind.
Exactly.
How do you feel about the persecutions of anybody based on their religion skin color.
Man, that's against everything I believe. I feel like you shouldn't be judging anyone based on anything like just because you believe or look a certain way. Like, things shouldn't matter. Again, going back to when I was a kid, when I grew up, I didn't even think about those things. I didn't see those things. Like if somebody came from a different background, I didn't even think about that. It was just who they are as a person, and that's it. I don't care what you look like, what you do, how you act, but if we get along and you're my friend, you're my friend.
I have a follow-up question. So, in the media, it seems like they draw on a lot of sympathy for a lot of other religions, which I am all for. Like, I'm all for helping other religions.
Mm-hmm.
But I had noticed that a couple times when we're looking at the persecution of, like, Christians, and I don't mean to try and cherry pick because I came to Christ. I'm not trying to do that, but it does seem like they're not as outspoken against the violence and atrocities against those people, like happening in Sudan, Iran. Like I have seen it to start show up in about Iran. I don't know if that's because of the war, but I just feel like there's not an equal view, like an equal eye on all the suffering in different faiths.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I think I feel similar to that as well.
Something a bit close to home for us, Hamilton.
Okay.
There's a lot of homelessness, and it's been on the rise for the last few years. Since when I moved in here, like there was always homeless, but in the last decade, it has gotten pretty bad. I'm seeing people talking to themselves now because of the opioid epidemic, the drugs. How does that make you feel about your own city?
So like I'm not from Hamilton, but I live nearby in Burlington.
Okay.
But I work here every day. I'm right here in Jackson Square, so I see it every day coming in, leaving work. It makes me feel, I don't even know the word, but like it hurts my heart to see these people suffering and seeing so many, the rise of it. And I'm even seeing younger kids that are completely homeless, and it's scary to me that we're not able to help these people. Because,
do you think if we had an actual initiative that we could?
That's the thing. I would assume we could. We live in Canada. It's one of the greatest countries, or it used to be, and I would think that we can get back to where we used to be. And I don't see why we don't have the resources to help.
I agree. Like I think, see, if we were able to support a family on one income before, if we were able to buy houses every year, right? We're able to generate that revenue. Why can't we do it now when we have more resources, better access to resources, better extraction, and apparently we have more jobs, all this. So what is the prevention? I think we've got to hang it on our leadership.
Yeah, 100%.
So
it is 100% on our leadership. This is who we're trusting. This is who we're voting in.
Now I've got one before we go. I do have a few more questions, but I do have to get going. Actually,
Okay, yeah, no worries.
But I do have one very hot topic question. It is about Islam. If you don't want to answer,
No,
that's
okay.
fine.
That's okay.
Now, looking at a lot of the Western world and Iran from the 70s, and how Islam spread into those countries, and how it's currently affecting England or Berlin or France. How do you feel about when somebody asks you about what about the Arabization of countries or them using Islam as a way to colonize places? Do you believe in it? Do you have an opinion on it? It is a risky subject, so
I feel like what's happening with Islam and how it's affecting countries. I don't agree with it. I don't like that. I think that when you're coming into someone else's country that is not your native country, that there's a responsibility in you to assimilate to that country's culture, to learn the culture and to become part of it, and not just bring in your own culture and then force it.
This reminds me of a great quote. I don't know if you've heard of Wilfrid Laurier. He was our 7th Prime Minister. Now I'm paraphrasing. It was something like, we should never not allow somebody to become Canadian that wants to become Canadian. but they must become Canadian and nothing but Canadian. Let no one impose their way upon us. He also had another fire quote that was, Canada is free and freedom is nationality. And yeah. So I mean, like, if you want a prime minister with cool quotes, that guy has it. Anyway, that's it for this episode of the C.C.G on the streets. Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Rob, do you have anything you want to say?
I hope the best for Canada. Love it here, and I'm hoping we can get back to where we were.
All right. God bless everyone.
God bless you.